our example here. A couple other boxes we have up here, button alias. We could actually have the button on the screen, on the order screen, have a different name than what we are listing in the menu here to print to the remote printers and to print to the receipts. We could also give it a different name to the remote printer. So you could actually have the buttons be in one language and then send a different language to the kitchen. You could have the buttons be spelled out words and then send abbreviations to the kitchen if that's what they're used to using. So we have a couple of different options there. We can assign a barcode to the menu items, and they can actually scan the barcode with a barcode scanner to sell those items right from the order screen. So if the place has a small amount of merchandise that they want to sell by barcode, or if it's got a little general store or something that's part of the restaurant, they can actually scan the barcodes for those individual items and assign them here, and then on the order screen just scan the barcodes to ring those items up. For each item, we're going to have a regular price, even if the regular price is 0. We can build the price into the main item. We can build the price into modifiers. We can also change the price based on times or days using timed events, or we can change the price based on the size of the item that's selected using shift levels. So for this example, we can look down here and see that there's actually a price set for a 16-ounce Budweiser. During the late night timed event, we charge a little bit less, $2. During happy hour, they charge $3. For each item, we're also going to have the number available. This is going to start by being 9999. If you don't change this number, it will always stay that. If you set it anything lower, then as those items are sold, this number will count down. And once it gets to 0, it won't allow anyone to sell that item any longer. It will give them a message that it's no longer available. The quantity also will count down on the menu item button itself, unless you're using icons on the buttons, because the icons will cover up that countdown. This beginning count is optional. Most people will not use this. It's kind of a simple inventory tracking function. We could set with this Budweiser that we have a case. You could put however many we have here, 24, and as they get sold, this won't count down the way this beginning count will. But at the daily closeout, after we run the daily closeout, it's going to take the number that we sold and subtract it from this inventory level and then reset the number here. So every day after the daily closeout, they can come look at the inventory level here and compare it with what should be at the store. This is kind of just a simple, cheap way of doing inventory without using our full-blown RPM module. Each menu item will have a sales tax table. You can have up to 2 different sales tax tables, one regular tax table and one special tax table for each menu item. You can use one or the other or both of these tax tables for each item. And then in addition to that, we actually have a surcharge field. If you have a tax that's a certain amount based on volume rather than a percentage based on the sale amount, then we can set 4 cents, 3 cents, or whatever the dollar amount may be in this field, and it will add that to the tax. The taxable check mark will be set by default in addition to the available daily and expand print. Taxable, we all know what that does. If we uncheck that, it's going to be a non-taxable item. Usually we save that for things like gift cards that we're selling, things that are not taxable like that. There's also a way from the order screen to make any single menu item or any check tax exempt if you have church come in or something like that. Available daily just means that it's available all the time. We don't have any restrictions on when we can sell this item. If we were going to uncheck this, then what we would do is turn on the timed event window, and we would set when this item is available. So maybe we have an all-you-can-eat crab leg dinner on Monday night. We could uncheck this available daily. We would go create a Monday night timed event, and we would assign that here and set the price. And this item would only be available during that timed event. It will not be available outside of that event we assign to it. If we leave the available daily checked and we assign a timed event, then the item is available all the time. We're just changing the price based on the time that we set, the events that we set here. Expand print means it's going to print in large print to the remote printers. So if you want any certain menu items to print in large print, so that they stand out, make sure that check mark is enabled. Price includes sales tax. If we enable this, then the taxes that we set here are going to be included in the main price. So if this Budweiser is $3 and the price includes sales tax, Microsale will then back the taxes out for the report. So it's going to show you a $3 total sale, but it's only going to be $2.80 for the sale, and the rest will go towards tax. Enable open price. When we turn this check mark on, it's going to prompt us when we ring up the menu item to type in a price. So we could use this for market price, things like fish that change on a regular basis, although it's very easy to change the menu item price on a daily basis too. Maybe a better use for this would be to create an open price menu item like a open bar or open food items, so that if the customer requests something that's not on the menu, but you actually have all the ingredients to make that for the customer and you're willing to do that, then we can have these buttons ready so that when you ring it up, it just prompts you for the price. We can turn on an option that will allow you to type a name also for it. So we're going to enable modifiers here. And so this allows us to select a list, and we create the modifiers in lists. And so let's go look at modifiers now. Add toppings. The name of this list is Add Toppings, and on this list, this title, we have sausage, mushroom, onions, black olives. Every time we change something on this list, it changes it for every menu item that's calling on it, and that's why we create the modifiers in lists like this. Let's see if we've got, so like a good example, if I can spell, steak temperatures. If we're going to have steak sandwiches or steak dinners, I'm going to create a title called steak temperature, add it to the list. Let's take these off because they weren't supposed to be there. And so the first thing is going to be rare. And then I'm going to do add to list here. Now, if there's a price for this particular option, we could add the price here. If we want it to have a different description than what we're putting here, kind of like the alternate print for the buttons, we'll put that here. And we'll look at some of these other options in just a minute, but we're going to go ahead and add that to the list. This one doesn't have any special options. And we'll just put a few in here. Now, these options here we want to look at before we click Save. We don't need the matrix for this one. Mandatory selection is going to force us to pick one of these before we can leave that screen. So I am going to make that mandatory because we will need to know how the steak or the sandwich is going to be cooked. Select until done we don't want, because that would allow us to pick more than one thing. In this case, that's not logical because we only want one. Order as programmed, if we were going to allow more than one selection, would print the items to the remote tickets in the order that we have them here. So that's a great option for like pizza places when you're making a list of toppings. Since they slide the pizza usually along a prep table where the vegetables are together and the meats are together and so on, they won't have to slide the pizza back and forth in order to dress it. They can just slide it along and it will follow the order of the topping. Expand print on check. This is going to be whether we're going to print these choices for this title large to the remote tickets again. Print in color. If you have a printer in the kitchen that supports two different colors, black and red, then we can print these options in color separate from the main menu items so that they stand out. This disable price roll-up, we can turn on a register option in Microsale to roll the modifier prices into the main item. So if you're ringing up a Jack Daniel's on the rocks and you charge 50 cents extra for on the rocks because you give a little bit bigger pour of the liquor, what we can do in register options is make that 50 cents roll up into the main item price so that it doesn't look like we're nickel and diming the customer. But if there's particular things you want to be itemized on the check, we can disable the price roll up and those items will never roll up into the main item. They will always list separately. And this set as countdown is best used for things like wings, chicken wings. If they allow you, say for 10 wings, if they allow you to change